Okay, the official time is 12:07, and we'll be joined by the Michigan State student athletes up here on the dais in about 3 minutes. Just a couple of reminders. There is no flash photography in the press conference area, and there is no video recording of any kind in this area. Those of you who make your way to the press conference area, we're going to ask you to silence your cell phones. The satellite coordinates for this afternoon's East Regional Press Conference. The satellite is Galaxy 17. The number 4, K as in kangaroo, slot C as in Charlie, and the downlink is 11784-5. We'll be joined by the Michigan State student athletes in just a few minutes. Okay, we're going to be joined on the dais, the student athletes from Michigan State, Cassius Winston, Matt McQuaid, and Nick Ward. We're going to open it up for a Q&A right away. Again, we're going to ask you to raise your hand and wait for a wireless microphone to be brought to you. And before asking your question, please state your name and your affiliation. And we're also going to ask you to direct your question to a student athlete in particular. All right, we'll start. Ladies right in the middle.
Casey Harrison, State News. For anyone who wants to answer, obviously, your team is comprised of juniors and seniors mostly now, but being in the position last year, sort of like LSU is in now, how does experience really help a team this far in the tournament?
Cassius, you want to start?
You know, experience just, you know, we've been in a lot of situations as a team. You know, I said it all year. It's really no situation that we come across that we feel like we haven't been in before. So, you know, we've seen it all. We've made it through a lot of situations. So that experience, you know, just being comfortable in those situations kind of helped us along the way.
Matt, anything to add about your experience level to this point?
Yeah, like Cassius said, you know, we've been through a lot together. You know, we've gotten a lot closer this year just through everything we've been through, and it's really just brought us closer together.
We'll stay right in the middle.
Zach Brazil, New York Post. Cassius, how familiar are you with Waters, and is this kind of, do you look at this as a challenge? I mean, arguably the two best point guards in the country playing in this game.
I've seen him a lot, you know, with AAU, and then I've been watching them this year. You know, I don't get into individual battles. You know, it's really we both do a lot for our teams, and you know, if we're playing our best, then usually our team is playing their best too. So, you know, the victory in itself is just winning the game.
You never played him in AAU or anything?
Not that I remember.
Okay.
Jacques Doucet, WAFB TV in Baton Rouge. Nick, what are your impressions of LSU, what they have, you know, down low, and Nas Reed and Cavell Bigby Williams and some of those other guys?
You know, they're huge down low. You know, that's going to be a challenge for us. And, you know, we're going to have to box out, rebound, you know, stick to the game plan. You know, they're one of the bigger teams we face this year. So we're going to have our hands full.
Cassius, I'm staring at your backpack right now with the green bear on it. Can you explain where you found this backpack, what it's of, and why you bought it?
Oh, man. Well, it's from China. My mom went to China early this year, and she saw the backpack, and she thought of me. So, you know, I love cartoons and the Cash Money thing. So it was all just a play off that, and I love the backpack.
Zach Brazil, New York Post. For Matt and Nick, what do you guys think about the matchup at point guard?
Yeah, like Cash said, it's not an individual matchup, but Tremont Waters is a great player. Like you said, he does a lot for his team. He can shoot, he can drive, he can pass. And but they got a lot of other good players on their wings, and we just got to be ready.
Yeah, I totally agree with Matt said. It's not really individual battle, because they both do a lot for the teams. But I feel like we just gotta come out and execute. Cash gonna have to play well. Trayvon's have to play well for his team. And it's gonna be a battle.
We're going to stay down here on the right-hand side.
Mark Herman from Newsday, New York. Nick, can you describe what this team's character was like to be able to keep on an even keel when so many guys were going out this year?
That's a great question because it just speaks a lot about our character. Our character has been, very high this year. Missing me, Josh, Matt McQuaid, 4 games, Kyle. That's a lot of injuries, and that's our core people. So we just battled adversity all year, and we pushed through it, and we were able to overcome it.
Hi, Sean Haggerty for the Hoya here. This is for Matt. Matt, 10-1 against ranked opponents this year. How much is that in the back of your mind for tomorrow against LSU, and how important is that going to be down the stretch?
Yeah, I mean, that's good for us and like during the regular season, but it's a different time of year. We know we're facing a really good LSU team with great players through the board, really big that rebound, and then quick guards that can do a lot of different things. So, like Nick said, we know we're gonna have our hands full the whole game, and they're a good team.
We're going to stay in the back first.
Reggie Chapman, WBRZ Channel 2 in Baton Rouge. You guys guard the 3 pretty well. This LSU team hasn't shot the ball very, very well this season, mostly get the ball inside. How does that kind of play into your guys' strengths, I guess, especially at a stage like this?
Matt, can you start with that one, please? Can you start?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they're kind of a streaky team, but they still have guys that can make shots. You saw Mays hit that big shot against Maryland, and Waters can shoot. I feel like they have guys that are capable of stepping up and knocking down shots when they need them.
Will Shanahan, the Georgetown Voice. Cassius, you and Tremont have both been uber productive this year, despite kind of bucking the trend of taller point guards in college basketball and the NBA. What attributes in you or Tremont's game do you kind of point to explain that production?
He does a good job of using his quickness, change of speeds and things like that to get to his spots, and he does a good job of just staying poised and staying in control during the whole game. He does a great job of controlling that team, pushing that tempo, doing a lot of good things for that team. I guess in my case, I play within myself. I know what I'm good at. I know my spots, and I don't try to play outside of my strengths.
To any of the players, you play for a guy who's regarded as one of the top coaches in the history of the game. Just what are some things you see on a day-to-day basis, practice, off-season, in-season, that make him the great coach that he is?
Nick, can you start with some comments about Coach Izzo?
Well, Coach Izzo is never satisfied. That's great because he wants you to be the best. He pushes you to be the best every day. We watch film every day, see what we can do better. We go over plays. Typical coach stuff, but. Coach Izzo he's a Hall of Famer for a reason.
Cassius?
Like Nick said, he always wants you to get better. There's no point of the season, no point of practice, no point of year where he just, I feel like we've done everything. It's always something that we can get better at. It's always something that can help us get to that next step, and he's been pushing for it each and every step of the way.
Got one in the back.
Zach. Oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna go back to the backpack because you guys started laughing during it. Do you guys have an opinion over Cassius's backpack, and do you think it fits his personality well?
I think it definitely does. Like you said, whenever I walk into the Brez in the morning, he's always got cartoons on, and it just fits him well. And like you said, the Cash Money thing, I think it all flows well together.
I completely agree with everything Matt said because he does watch cartoons all the time. I mean, I live with him, so I hear all the little gunshots, the little Looney Tunes stuff. But yeah, for sure, it fits his personality.
Stay in the middle with Zach.
Zach was on New York Post. For either Nick or Matt, with all the injuries you guys have dealt with this year, how important has just Cassius's consistency been to the success of this team?
It's been huge. Cash has played every game. He's kind of been the stable guy, but it's not a one-man team. We kind of just had that it's not like a next man up mentality either. You know, it's a group effort and everybody just stepping up and doing more in their job and their role. But Cash has been great all year, consistent all year, doing a lot of things for us, and just keeping the core group together.
Yeah, I completely agree. Cash has been really consistent this year. Between me and McQuaid, we missed 10 games together. I missed 6, he missed 4. So that's a lot. That's a lot of games missed this season. So Cash has led us, and he's been really consistent.
We'll stay right here in the middle.
Glenn Gilbo, USA Today in Louisiana. Nick, right here. Y'all don't play a lot of zone, right? Why is it LSU's struggled at times against the zone? Why is it y'all haven't played much zone, and do you think you might try some in this game?
I don't think we're gonna try any zone, but that's not. We're a man team. We press up. We do our principles. Zone isn't really our MO.
Why is that? Why isn't it?
You know what? I don't know, but that's up to our coaches. We just do what we're told.
Cash?
Yeah, like I said, that's what we do here at Michigan State. You know what I'm saying? We got a good system. You help your helper. You there for your teammates. You know what I'm saying? Man been working for us all year. We guarded a lot of good teams, a lot of good players. So I don't think it's time to throw away our principles now.
Mark Herman from Newsday. Cassius, you piqued our interest. What was that trip to China about that your mom took? And are you a world traveler too?
I don't really have the time to be a world traveler. Pretty occupied a lot of times. So, but yeah, she does. She has a job at Delta that allows her to fly to different places. So she just, taking advantage of her time, going out, checking out different places. And she was there. She always tries to bring something back from each place she goes to, and that's something that caught her eye. She got me and both my brothers one too, different bags. But yeah.
Other questions for the Michigan State student athletes? We'll take Zach. I think we got time for one more.
Cassius, the LSU coach and waiters both said they see a lot of Kemba Walker in your game. What do you think about that comparison?
That's a high praise. That's an honor though, because Kemba was a really, really good player. Could do a lot of things. I wouldn't say I'm Kemba Walker. That would be a little far fetched, but that's a really high praise.
Okay, guys, you're all set. Thank you for your time this afternoon. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
It's 12:20. We'll have Michigan State head coach Tom Izzo at 12:25. Can you reach them? Do you think that's accurate? Okay, we're going to be joined by Michigan State head coach Tom Izzo in 1 minute. He's going to give an opening statement, and then we'll open for a Q&A. As a reminder, please silence your cell phones. And there's no video recording of any kind in this area. And if you do want to ask a question, please raise your hand and wait for the wireless mic to be brought to you. Coach?
Well, it's great to be back in the Sweet 16, and we're excited to be here in Washington. We think we have a completely different foe than any we've faced so far. Probably the most athletic with size team that we've faced. Early in the year, we faced a UCLA and Texas team that had great athletes and great size height-wise, but these guys are linebackers on the perimeter and huge size inside. I said I love watching them if I didn't have to play them because it reminded me of our teams back in 2000, 2001 with Richardson and Randolph and guys that just attack the boards. I say they go with vengeance. They go almost violently to the offensive boards and have done an incredible job with that. Once in a while, the missed shot becomes the best offense, and that's near and dear to my heart. So I've been very impressed watching them on film, and I think the two areas that concern me is the turnovers, because we've been a little more turnover prone, and they do a great job of that, and, of course, the offensive rebounding. So take questions.
Casey Harrison, State News. Michigan State and LSU have both gone through a lot of adversity, albeit very different. What about tough times can bring a team together and sort of make a team tougher mentally this time of year?
You know, it can. I think it all depends on the players that are there and how they handle certain things and what are the issues. You know, I think for us, we've gone back-to-back years of winning 30 games. I think I'm proud of the way the guys have been, and they've dealt with some adversity this year with all the injuries we've had, but they've just kind of hung in there. And I think it has been a bond that's grown them closer. And I know that there's been a couple storylines with LSU, losing a player that was shot and the coach and different things that you've gone through. And it just depends on the different rallying abilities of each team, of each individual person. And that is so individually rated. It's hard to say this team should be able to handle it, this team shouldn't. I've had a lot of good teams. I'm not sure I had any that would handle our adversity this year with those injuries and just the way they seemed like we got one guy back and another guy lost. And I guess that's what I'm proudest of our team about.
We'll go with Pete. Go ahead.
Bobby Bancroft, Associated Press. You just mentioned you're happy to be back here. Coach K and Duke are also here. What is it like managing the expectations and leading such a storied program where this is getting at least this far, which is an achievement, is the expectation?
You know, I learned to manage expectations, and I always complain about it. I complain about our media having them. I complain about our fans having them. I complain about our alumni having them. And then I realized that my expectations are probably bigger than all the above. So then I'm mad at myself. And so that I have to deal with a little bit. But those expectations are a privilege and an honor to have. I mean, you work all your life to get your program to the point where people are expecting you to be some certain places. And, yeah, you have to deal with it with your kids, and you have to tell them that you don't win because you show up. You win because you earn the win. But I look at a lot of good programs, and Mike's got, you know, arguably the best as far as consistently doing something. I look at football programs. I look at pro sports, and I try to steal things from them that I think can help my team understand that those expectations can be a burden or they can be a joy. You know, it just depends on how you approach it and how you look at it. But for me, when I look back at 20 years ago, I die to have my program where it's becoming. It's not there yet because we still have some finished business, but it has taken a monstrous step, and I think that's all good. You know, I really mean that. It's all good.
We'll go with Pete.
Hey, Tom, Pete Thamel from Yahoo Sports. We're in an interesting moment in time right now in basketball and college athletics. There's 3 ongoing federal investigations. You're about to play a team in a Sweet 16 that doesn't have its coach because of a suspension. I'm just wondering, as someone who's fashioned himself as a guardian of the game over the years and cares about it deeply. Where you think we are right now in college basketball?
Well, I'm glad you said that because I do feel like a guardian of the game. I worked for a guy named Judd Heathcote who thought that was more important than anything he did. And I mean, I'm saddened by what went on with the federal investigation and what's going on. You know, the problem I have today, since I'm not a big Twitter guy, what is reality and what isn't? You know, do I think there's some problems in college basketball? I definitely do. Do I think that people are wrapping their arms around it and trying to make a difference? I do. Not knowing different things about different programs. I mean, there's a million rumors about everything. I will not judge anybody until I see the reality of it. And but it does make me sad. I think we're at a point in time when college athletics in general and football and basketball, since they're so visual, you know, we all got to take a deep look at what we're doing and what is it supposed to be and what can it be, and maybe if there's problems, we got to eliminate the problems. And so nervous, scared, excited, probably all of the above. You know, sometimes when things happen, that leads to change. That's positive change. And if that happens, that would be good too.
Adam?
Adam Zagoria. Just to follow on Pete's question there, do you think there's anything good about what's going on now and that it'll clean up the game and then we can move on from there? And also, is there any hypocrisy involved when a team, you know, has their coach sitting out, but a player who was involved in that situation is allowed to keep playing?
Boy, I will answer it because it's my job, and I do feel like I'm on the NABC board, and I care about what the NCAA and NABC have done, and I don't have a great answer for that, but I think everybody should be held accountable in everything we do. I think coaches should be held accountable. I think players should be held accountable, and I think, you know, whether it's the NCAA, I mean, we all need to be held accountable. It's hard to figure out what that accountability is, but it saddens me that we're even talking about it, but it is a reality, and I understand that. I just hope and pray that the game that I got into, for the reason I got into it, remains equal, where everybody has the same chance to be successful. And the hypocrisy, I just don't know all the facts to all these things, and so I'd be insane to comment on something, nor would I comment on something when I don't know all the facts involved.
Go to Marty.
Hi, Coach. Marty Smith, ESPN.
Where are you, Marty?
Good to see you. What's it meant to you personally over the past week in the face of some criticism about your approach, that so many people came to your defense, both as coach and man?
You know, Marty, it's hey, listen, my old boss told me the game makes fools of us all. And I'm sure there's been times that if I had to rewind something, I'd find a different way to do it. But in the heat of the moment, when a 30-second timeout, I'm not going to let one incident, one snippet, determine 2 years of a relationship with somebody. And, you know, I don't think many people can understand. You know, I've heard people say, well, in business, you couldn't do this. And no, because it's adults to adults. You know, we're still talking adults to players, just like my own kid who's a 18-year-old, you know, and all that matters to me is, you know, I could say it's nice that the former players, I'm sure they weren't happy with some things when they were there either. We all, as we grow up, you know, I always heard the saying that your parents are the dumbest people on the planet when you're 17 to 23, and then they get a lot smarter as you get older. I think coaches are in the same boat, you know, and when people have success, when they've been through a lot and they had success and they've been pushed to levels that they didn't think they could be pushed to. Now, in saying that, do I need to figure out what approach is right? I think we do, because every player you do treat differently. I mean, you don't treat everybody the same. Some need different things than others. But, you know, that thing is, I'll say, is my fault if I offended somebody, and yet it's not an easy job to try to take 17, 18, 19-year-olds and push them to places they've never been if you want to accomplish the things that they want to accomplish, not that I want to accomplish. This is about their goals. I have players make a set of goals every year, 5 things they want to accomplish. And I tell them at the end of that, that's my job to hold them accountable to their goals, not my goals. So, you know what? We'll work around it. We'll grow. Who says that I made mistakes in my life? I make a lot of mistakes in my life. But the one mistake I don't make is my players and the coaches are usually on the same page and understand because we spend time with them. And that's what I'll say to that. Thanks.
Stay with Zach in the middle, and we'll come back down here.
Zach was the New York Post. Tom, what are your thoughts on the point guard matchup? Could be arguably the 2 best in the country, and just will there be any party that's just kind of looking forward to seeing how the 2 guys handle each other?
I am. I really am looking forward to that. Waters is heck of a player. He's jet quick. They're similar in some ways. They're completely different in others. You know, Cassius is not the greatest athlete. They're both about the same size, but Cash can score it. He can pass it. Waters can score it. He can pass it. Waters is a little more disruptive on defense. I think Cassius is, his ability to shoot the ball from outside with consistency is a little better. So it should be a heck of a matchup, you know. And usually everybody hopes for 2 good quarterbacks, you know, and in the World Champions, the Super Bowl, you know, you always look for 2 good quarterbacks. Well, we got 2 great quarterbacks here, and I am looking forward to seeing how it works. But it won't be where I think it'll be Cassius against him or Waters against Winston. It's going to be still a team. You know, there's 5 guys. We're not guarding any one of their guys with one person. They're too big and athletic for that. So we're going to be cheating and having people on all sides of them.
Sit down here in the right-hand corner.
Coach Michael Cobble, WBRZ TV in Baton Rouge. LSU's played in 7 overtime games this year. They've been able to close out a lot of late games. Is there a common ingredient that you've seen in teams that enable them to finish when it counts?
Well, it's usually a good point guard. You know, usually a good quarterback is going to make that play at the end of the game, you know. So as we looked at that, we tried to find a positive to it, and that's what we came. Boy, they can do the things. Then we found a negative. Why are they in that many games if they're that good, you know? And so, you know, you got to have something to be able to sleep at night. If you just look at the positive side of it, you say, oh, damn, you know, this is not good. But if you look at both sides, you know, we've been a little up and down in some things. They've been a little up and down in some things. Sometimes shooting the ball, you know, although when they miss it, as they used to say on my teams early in my career, the best offense was the missed shot because they got 3 guys looking down at that rim. And so I think the reason they've had some success in those overtimes is they've got the ball in the right guy's hands. He made the big play against Maryland, just incredible, like 1-on-2 play because they switched off with a big guy and he found a way to get around that. So I've been very impressed with him.
Jacques Doucet, WAFB TV in Baton Rouge. When covering LSU football, when Nick Saban came to town, he would talk about you a lot. Tom Izzo says this, Tom Izzo says that. You've maintained a relationship with him over the years. You guys, is this like a greatest of all time club?
Yeah, I just talked to him the other day, and, you know, Nick is, I mean, we came together at Michigan State as assistants, and then we came together at Michigan State as head coaches. And, you know, if he says that, there's a lot of times I say the same thing, you know. I just love people that have been able to sustain stuff over a period of time. And Nick's a very passionate guy. You know, he's from, you know, as he used to call it, a hillbilly from West Virginia. I'm a Youper from way up. We kind of had similar backgrounds, and we kind of shared similar things. But, you know, I've always been a big Nick Saban fan just because I believe how he does it. I believe that every day he's trying to get better himself and make other guys better. In fact, just text him. I might, you know, try to get down and see a little spring ball there, you know, try to I love learning from guys, and I love learning from some basketball guys, but I really like learning from some football guys because when you go to a football like spring ball or OTAs, like when Mariucci was in it, you know, all those assistants are head coaches of those positions, and I think it gives me a better way to handle my own assistants. And so, you know, just like I believe that I'm not crazy about players that play just one sport, I'm not a coach that just worries about basketball. I look at other sports and learn from all of them. Nick's helped me.
We got time for 2 more questions. We're going to go one here and one back there.
Coach Matt Sachs for the Hoya. So you made a comparison of this LSU team to teams of yours in the past. Looking at your team right now, how would you stack them up against some of your teams in the past and the talent of this team?
Well, the talent isn't as good, especially with the injuries. I mean, that sounds like it's going against the players I got. I just mean, I've had teams with, 4 draft picks on there, and this team isn't there yet. But the connection, the grit of this team, the physical power isn't quite as good as some teams I have, but the mental power might be better than a lot of teams I've had. They've been able to redevelop their team and analyze and figure out a new way to cover ball screens or do this to get away from fouling too much because we don't have as much depth or this or that. Back when I was comparing them to us, we played 9 guys. We had guys coming off the bench. I mean, Jason Richardson, Zach Randolph came off the bench. They ended up pretty good players at the next level. That either shows how dumb I was or how good they got the next year. But it was, I love watching teams, and they've got depth. They play their depth, but they play hard. I mean, the one thing I love about LSU is they play really hard. I think we play hard. I just think right now we're going to have to beat them a different way than maybe some of my other teams would have beaten them because their size and athleticism is a little superior. But we got some things we've done right to beat other teams that were better in that area too.
All right, we'll take the last question.
Tim Lee from Tansen. So, Coach, we saw Winston stand in between you and Aaron during the game against Bradley, trying to calm the situation down a little bit. So how do you view his leadership in this season, especially helping the young guys' communication?
How do I do what? I'm sorry.
How do you view his leadership for this
Cassius?
team? Yes.
Cassius was a guy that, we voted for captains early in the year, and it was McQuaid and Josh Langford. And, Cassius is one of those leaders that he leads by example, which I think is really good. I've always enjoyed people that led by dragging other people with them. And I think that was an area when I was talking about levels he has to get to. That's another level, And boy, when we lost, Nick, and I told Cassius that next morning, now, I need you to, because you have the experience and nothing, he's flawless as far as being under pressure. He doesn't see pressure. And so I said, these other guys are going to be a little more nervous. You're going to have to lead now and talk to them. And I think he's done a phenomenal job of that. The kid has gone beyond where I thought he could go so far, but I still think he has another level we're going to keep pushing to. But as far as his growth as a player and as a leader, it's taken great, great strides.
Okay, you're all set, Coach. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. It's 12:45. We'll be joined by Virginia Tech head coach Buzz Williams in 5 minutes.